I'm not. I actually am not. Okay. We already discussed that this is my trigger point. But, hello everyone.
Hello, everyone there. How are you doing, Aylin?
Good. How are you doing, David?
You were sick.
I'm still sick.
You just got sick?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. Maybe you got me sick.
How?
Oh, because apparently you were sick last week and we didn't
And?
know about it. And you came here and got all of us sick.
No, not really. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, but
Excuses.
yeah, but now I feel great. I feel really nice. A week of healthy life. Weekend was a little bit tough. Not tough really, but it was just I had like ache all over my body, but now I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling today.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was like almost
I was like bending in the cab, one of the cabs.
bending in a cab.
Like I was
How
like,
did you bend in a
It
cab?"
hurts. Like bending my body. But now I'm okay. I took Nurofen.
All right.
So
Don't take drugs at home.
I'm powering
Do
through.
it in a club.
David, that's really bad advice. We might have
No, sorry.
We might have
don't
young
do anything.
children
Yeah, don't do it, guys.
listening to
Don't
us.
do
I really
it.
hope young children aren't listening to us. There's better things to listen
If
to out there.
young children are listening to us, I'll buy you guys candy. Please comment on
Don't take
YouTube
candy from
or
strangers.
anywhere, and I'll buy you gifts if children are watching this. Honestly. So how was your weekend?
It was good. I was really trying hard to remember outside what I did this
okay.
week because last week that question got me by surprise.
All right.
And one thing I did actually is I went to a birthday party in Kadıköy.
Nice.
And it's random. It's my friend from America from like years ago. And she came here and she threw a little birthday party because she's from this side, the
Oh, she's
Anatolian
Turkish.
side. She's Turkish, yeah.
Okay.
But now she's emigrated to America.
Okay.
And yeah, it was fun because it was like my first proper party in Kadıköy, I guess.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, and it was cute because the bar we went to, everybody or majority of the people know each other. They're all from the neighborhood, and I like that vibe of like people knowing each other and asking everybody how they're connected and stuff. And
You
they're like,
like it
yeah, I
for
live
now."
here. I live on the street. I mean, it's good because I'm just visiting. It's not like I'm a part of it.
If you're part of it, it's gonna be sometimes challenging.
Yeah.
You know, gossips and stuff. Kadıköy is
Yeah, because of groups and what groups do to one person.
Yeah, and that's like something in Istanbul. There are different groups in different neighborhoods, and
Yeah. And they're a big part of what it means to be here. And we might be moving on from the introduction part a little bit too quickly, but I guess it's okay if you have nothing else to share.
no,
about your
not
week.
really, nothing to share. Today we had many brainstorming sessions, and Aylin came up with a topic, which is about.
That's gonna sound so
No,
bad.
it's cool actually. I like that. I sometimes do that, by the way. I sometimes just make sounds and faces when I'm alone at home, or you
Yeah,
know,
me
when
too.
nobody's watching. I'm like, "Gah."
I always talk to myself. I even like looked it up once. I was like, is it okay to talk to myself out loud when I'm alone?
I think looking up
I
the
think it's
fact
fine.
that if it is okay to talk to myself alone is weird.
No, I
Talking
think
to yourself alone was not weird.
You know what they also say is like sometimes it's really a pathology when you're not even questioning it.
Okay.
But when you're questioning something, that means that you're okay. You're still in that realm where you're like, is this
That
appropriate?
totally makes sense, to
There's
be
that
honest.
level of self-reflection.
I got it.
But anyway, we're going to get into the topic for today. And the topic today is identity. And it's a very broad subject, I think, a broad concept. So just a disclaimer from the beginning, there are people who have done research for years into what the self is, what identity is, and we're not trying to be like experts on that here. But I thought it would be interesting to discuss this because we are in a city that I think shapes and challenges one's identity pretty intensely. And it's a combination of
Pretty intensely.
pretty intensely. It's a place that combines the influence of so many different cultures and so many different kinds of people. So when you're living here, you're bound to develop either a new kind of identity or or different types of identities. And one thing that I kind of read up on, like identity, what people think it is, whatever. And I thought that for today we can just call it as like the, in a sense, a presentation of self that happens in relation to either what you're doing in life, what your job is. So for example, being a mother can be an identity, or being a Turkish person can be an identity.
Okay.
And just depends. It's kind of like what you feel you're connected to.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you to start. First of all, do you agree with this idea of what identity is? And then we can move into, I guess, what are the ways to start with that being in Istanbul, living here, has shaped or influenced your identity?
Yeah, that's a very good question, to be honest. I mentioned in previous episodes, I have moved to Istanbul when I was 24. I'm going to be 30 soon in May. And I guess I'm a different person. I mean, when I look back, when I moved here, I was a different character, different person. And Istanbul shaped my identity, I guess. That's what happened to me. Because I think that to me, that the period between 20 to 30 is very unique and special. I think like that's how I felt. Like every year, 20 to 21, 21 to 22, that was like 10 years. Every year is like a decade between 20 to 30, that period of 10 years. And I feel like I had like a base before moving to Istanbul, potentials, but I kind of like discovered myself and shaped. I realized what's the shape of my character living in Istanbul. Too many things.
Yeah.
You also lived abroad.
Yes.
You lived in Los Angeles. You were in Los Angeles.
I lived in England, I lived in Canada, I lived in LA, and but all of those I think are broadly, in a lot of ways, all of those experiences just going to the Western side of the world.
Yeah.
I can kind of broadly categorize as one big experience.
Okay.
Because it was also my university years, and that's important. I think it's very different to be going to school. That in itself is like an identity marker. You know, you're a student, and that's your job, and that's your main focus, I guess, for a lot of people. But before that, I was here from 12 to 18. I was in Istanbul.
Yeah.
And so it's cool because I'm in my 20s now, 26, as you know. I don't know, who knows?
She's 27.
I'm not 27
She
yet.
is definitely 27.
I'm not. I'm not. I actually am not. Okay. We already discussed that this is my trigger point. But you threw me off track here.
I'm sorry.
So I'm back now in my mid-20s, which I guess you experienced here.
Yes.
But I'm only starting to experience that part here. But then my teenage years were also spent here. So, and I think those two periods are kind of formative experiences. Like 20 to 30, like you said, is really important.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different to the teenage years, which everyone knows the teenage years are the ones you're literally turned from a little kid into something that looks like an adult.
Yeah.
Even though you're not actually mentally in a lot of ways. But they're formative in their own way. And I think it's interesting to compare how also, depending on what age you are and when you start a new life somewhere, or you return to an old life, but it's like starting a new life, like how that influences who you are and how you feel about everything. And one other point that I want to make, actually, when I was thinking about this entire topic, is that I think it's good to take Istanbul as the backdrop for this discussion, because this is something that happens a lot in big metropolitan cities.
Oh, yeah.
They're very transitionary for a lot of people. Of course, there's locals, but then there are a lot of people who come here for some time, leave, then return again, or never return again, who are coming from different countries and backgrounds, and then they all meet here in this one weird place.
Yes.
And and that kind of is what it means, I guess, to be a part of a city. We discussed that concept before, like what it's like to be an Istanbuler, and it's
Yes.
very broad.
It's very broad. I guess we
Yeah.
need to break it down into a few questions. One of the things you mentioned about you being in other countries as a student, one of the best things that happened to me moving to Istanbul was that I just decided to move to Istanbul. You know, like it was like this. When I was 24, I already had my business and everything, but I felt like something is missing. I felt like I'm too young for this, tailored, framed life. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. I need to, start an adventure probably. And my first plan was I visited Istanbul as a tourist. I could see I'm gonna be making memories in the city, and I was like, okay, let's go there and make those memories come true. And the first, I decided to live in Istanbul for a year, then move to Africa, and then move to Italy. That was my first plan.
Oh, that was your plan.
That was my plan.
Okay, yeah.
But I moved to Istanbul. By the end of the first year, I realized that I'm not really a traveler. I'm a settler. Like I want to have my regular communities. I want to have my regulars. I want to, I created a network of friends, and I had my job, and I was very passionate about everything that I created in a year. So I wanted to, live more. And it's been 5 years. It's going to be 6th year this year. But one thing is that I moved to Istanbul with a backpack. I did not apply to a university.
Cool.
I did not have a job. I didn't know anyone in the city. So I never forget. I moved to Istanbul with a backpack. In the first day, I was
What year was this, by the way?
That was 2017. That was October 27, 2017.
Okay.
I moved to Istanbul. First day, I didn't know Istanbul at the time. It was I spent the first month in Istanbul in Küçükçekmece. It's a really nice neighborhood, by the way. Like, I know it sounds like too far, but it's local.
Like what's there?
It's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah. So first day was very strange because I was with my backpack. I was in the middle of highway somewhere in Küçükçekmece in metrobus station. And I was like, abi ne yaptın yani? What did you do to yourself? Like, what is this? What is the plan? Like, what am I going to do? Should I look for a job? How am I going to look for a job even? Like I had no idea. I was like, you know what? Let's just, I remember I called my friends. They were like in a different country and they were partying and everything. And they asked me, how's your first day moving? I was like, it's great. But I was like almost about to cry.
Yeah.
So what happened is that I just went home and I Googled it. I Googled like, what am I going to do first day as a foreigner moving to a new country without any plan? Interestingly, there are too many links and discussions on internet helping you. One of the first thing was just get lost and just don't use map and try to find your way back home. In this way, you will start talking to people.
On the first day?
Second day.
That's like exposure therapy. In a sense.
Yeah, it's
You're just like
because
thrown into
one of the problems that happened to me is that I felt isolated. Istanbul has like almost 20 million population.
Yeah.
And after a certain level of population, you start to feel lonely, to be honest.
I think that's a common thing in a lot of big cities.
Yeah. So I searched how to break this isolation, and the answer was just get out there, lose yourself, and try to find the way back home. Asking people addresses and places. Find yourself, yeah. And I started talking to people, and that's how the isolation feeling was done. So that was like a strong
Did that actually
start.
help you?
It really helped me.
Okay.
I had many little chit chats and fun talk with people, and
it's good
that was great.
It's good that helped you. But I think one thing that I personally experienced is every time you move somewhere, there's that initial period that I think a lot of people don't talk about, where you don't have an identity in that place yet, and I think it shows up as a feeling of not belonging.
Yes.
And it's really intense.
I remember very well.
You just like, who am I here? Like what does this mean, and what is this place to me? Like I'm so random here, like a
You had the
random
same
creature.
experience?
Yeah, every new country I've moved to.
Yeah.
And initially it was here because I moved here when I was 12 from Russia, and I started having to communicate in English, which was completely foreign to me. The language thing is also interesting. I think we can get to that in a bit.
Of course.
Or maybe even now. I don't know. My thoughts are like all over the place with this topic.
I
But
know.
yeah. And yeah, you just go through that period of like not really feeling seen fully. And it like those little interactions help, I think, a lot. But then fundamentally when you go home alone, there's still that sense, I don't know, I'm talking for you as well, but that's how I felt. There's still, for some time before you find those deep, meaningful connections, there's a sense of like, oh my God, I'm so lonely and I don't belong anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you confront the fact that the world is so vast and there are so many people out there. And
Yeah.
in one city like Istanbul, that feeling is amplified because it's kind of like it represents like the vastness of the world. It's huge. You can be walking on the street, no one will know you're there.
Yeah.
You get lost with the flow of people, I guess,
course.
and you're just this like this face without a self in a sense. And yeah, and it takes work almost, I think, to put yourself out there in the first beginning when you move somewhere and figure out a way how to be somebody
How
in
long
that
did it
place.
take for you? Was it different ages and locations?
Totally different. Totally.
How did it work?
I think when I was younger, I was really not prepared for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like, possibly the hardest one was when I was a child, like around 12.
Makes sense.
And then after that, England was terribly difficult. And I guess because it was a completely different culture to any of the backgrounds that I come from. And I didn't have any friends basically for 2 years. Then I left. And then Los Angeles was actually the easiest one. But that was because I was different. Like I just went there with the idea of like, I'm going to say yes to everything. I don't know if you know that movie, Yes Man.
I know, I
it's just
watched.
like, I'm studying at the library at like 11 o'clock. That's how I made the majority of my friends actually. And then this one girl was like, yeah, I'm going to this party. There's this Turkish guy actually. It was in LA. And I was like so tired, but I was like, you have to go. And you just go and you're like, hi, yes, you know.
Yeah.
It's like almost like you have to force yourself to do things that are out of your comfort zone. But then that leads to you making friends and feeling a sense of belonging in the community.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's so much to cover about this topic, but we have limited time, so maybe we can do future episodes about it. Just one last thing, I want to thank the first people who helped me break that isolation. The first circle I felt belonged to was in Küçükçekmece. There was this lahmacuncu guy.
Oh.
And this usta invited me. He said, like, we have a Jack Daniels bottle. There is like kasap of the mahalle. There is like the vegetables and tekel guy. We were together and that was such a warm and nice community sponsored by the lahmacuncu of Küçükçekmece.
Yeah.
Teşekkürler abi.
Also, one thing I think that's a bit different about Istanbul is that I felt more like lost and unseen in other places in the world. But here, I think I mentioned that as well before, that people notice each other a little more than in some other big cities.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
there
that. I
isn't like
remember that,
such an intense level of anonymity where you're just walking around and you're like, oh my God, if I were to die on the street, like probably no one would pay attention. Like that's a feeling you get. Here, you don't really have that as much because you feel like, you can get a random stranger to say hi to you sometimes. You go to your local like place where you buy bread or other things, your local bakkal, like a corner store.
Oh yeah.
And you feel at least a little bit recognized by the people around you.
Çok doğru.
So that helps.
Çok doğru.
I think that's a unique Turkish, I guess, Istanbul thing that you can still find here, even though it's a huge city.
Anatolian thing, I would say.
On the European side too.
Are we doing it again?
Time for another debate. I feel more prepared today.
Yeah, nice.
My mother was like, you sucked so bad at that debate, Aylin. I was like, I know.
Oh, really? Marna, thank you. I mean, so to those who are listening to us on Spotify, feel free to send your comments. You can send your comments to info@meettotalk. Sorry. What was that?
Info at me to talk at dot cafe.
Oh yeah, info at me to talk.cafe. That was complicated, honestly. And also, please comment for YouTube. We are also on SoundCloud and Apple Music.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. And also, I really want to thank those few people who are listening to us on SoundCloud. Like, that's my favorite platform, to be honest, SoundCloud. And like, guys, please contact me. You know, let's just be in touch. And do you have any questions for audience for the? I mean, we're talking about circles, and I have one question for the audience for next week. They can answer. We might answer some of the questions in 2 weeks, by the way, because of the shooting times and everything.
Busy schedule out here.
Yes. So the question
It's hard
is,
being famous.
what's that?
I said it's hard being famous.
For Aylin. So, first question. Can you please introduce your circle? Maybe you can recommend, what do you think are the coolest circles in Istanbul? There are different circles with different identities and different people. What circle and what neighborhood in Istanbul you feel yourself more belong to? That's my question.
And it can be like through music and art and neighborhoods, like you said, like anything. Any common, or a place where everybody meets, or anything, any common tie. Can I ask another question?
Yeah, please.
I guess tied to this, what is the one identity that defines you the most, or is the most important to you? Like, you as a who? What means the most to you?
Yeah. That's it. Great. Wonderful. Now, also, we have comments that we're gonna read from last week. Are you ready, Aylin?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
Okay,
see.
we have I have one comment from Instagram and another comment, 2 comments from YouTube that we're gonna be reading today.
Okay.
So the first comment is Abdullah Arslan. I live in European side. However, both European and Anatolian are not as beautiful as it used to be. I can't agree more, Abdullah. Really, that's exactly what I say. Like, it's not as it used to be. But if you want to pick one, I would pick Anatolian side, as Abdullah mentioned the same thing.
Yes, that's a great comment.
Yeah, thank you, Abdullah. Next one, we have a comment on YouTube. Cypher TBD.
Wow, that's a cool name.
The most gangster is probably Beyoğlu, Tarlabaşı is crazy diyorlar. So Tarlabaşı, I want to ask the law enforcement to please track these comments. They had some deals and businesses in Tarlabaşı. We don't know what was that about. Yes, Tarlabaşı is the gangster. What do you think is the gangster neighborhood?
Probably also Tarlabaşı, yeah.
Ya gangster tabii ki de Bağcılar ya. Tabii ki de Bağcılar.
Yeah, okay.
I definitely go, guys, search Bağcılar. It's a crazy. I had one experience there, just one time, but it was a big one. It's quite interesting. Any other? You don't have any comments on this comment, right?
No, I don't
All right,
have comments
moving
on
on.
this
Last comment. I lived in both sides. Not very happy with living in the Anatolian side just because of the public transportation. I'm definitely missing my Dört Levant days. Yani, abi, you miss your Dört Levant days, really? Okay, of course.
I do understand, though.
You do understand someone who misses Dört Levant days?
Yeah.
I guess that the only thing is that I guess this
the
user
transportation thing is correct.
I have a feeling that this user was living 2 minutes from the public transportation. That's why, probably. But other than that, I would like to mention, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Taxis on Anatolian sides are way better, way more polite. Yes.
What?
No way.
Yes,
No
way.
way.
Yes,
I don't think there's
way.
a difference. Is there a difference?
Oh yeah, of course, huge
What?
difference.
Really?
In European side, they're so picky and selective about
They're
passengers.
picky and selective here as well.
They're much more picky and selective here.
That's not true.
Everywhere they're picky and selective. Let's
I support
just admit that
Kadıköy
there's this
taxi.
hierarchy where it's the roles are reversed, and you as the passenger here are the one who has to beg the taxi driver to take you and prove to
fun.
them that their time is worth your presence. Just like, please.
Yes. All right. It was nice having you,
Yeah.
Aylin. It was nice talking
Wonderful
to you guys.
talk.
Wonderful talk. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself,
Thank you. You as well.
and thank
Hopefully you
you.
have a fun week.
Thanks.
An
Have a-
okay week.
Have. See you guys around.
Bye.
Take care.